Okay, so in yesterday's session, we understood more about Spring Boot application architecture. I mean, the folder structure, all these details we understood. What is the importance of each and every folder? So, what we are going to do going further with that Spring Boot folder structure and all, we understood. So, intentionally, they are creating always this folder structure so that based on the real time oriented application point of view, they given all these folder structure. So here it is always the most important class. Every time one class will be created with an annotation called as @Spring Boot application, and that class will be called as Spring Boot main method class or Spring Boot main class. So that from there only we have to start always our Spring Boot application. So from that method only, from that main method only, we have to start always by default. And I said after that, this resources folder is all about other than Java files. In future, if when you want to maintain any other configuration files, so like XML files, XSL files, or whatever it is, properties files, YAML files. So extension other than .java, if you want to keep any files, SQL files, all this, then you will use resources. So these are all comes to the real logic implementation and real functionality execution point of view. But there is a concept available JUnit's point of view, unit test cases for testing your logic. So for that you will use the test folder. So this classes, this whatever the Java classes we are writing, creating here is not part of real functionality execution. It's only kind of unit testing purpose people will write down. So you don't need to worry about this folder much right now. I'll take one session at last. So apart from that, we discussed one more important concept called as pom.xml file. So what is pom.xml file means? It's all about Maven support. We taken Maven build tool. So inside this pom.xml file only, we'll configure all our dependency jar files, all these things. But in Spring Boot, they came up with a concept called as starter concept, Spring Boot starter. Like for every module, they came up with a concept called as Spring Boot starters. So what is a starter here? It is collection of dependencies. So nothing but in a Spring framework point of view, when we created a real-time application, whenever we want a lot of jar files to support some web functionalities, REST services functionalities, JDBC functionalities, JPA functionalities, we have to make sure identifying all the Maven dependencies like jar file name, jar file version, all this information, and we have to configure inside the pom.xml file. So that means the project setup is very crucial in the Spring framework level. So first time when you are creating the project setup, it is very critical. You have to make sure all the configuration is all supported jar files, dependency jar files, trans to dependency jar files, everything is available or not. Until and unless you are not making all the jar files in place, your application will not work properly. So to overcome all these problems only, they came up with a concept called a starter. So what the starter is saying, tomorrow when you want JPA module, you just added only JPA starter, automatically all JPA related jar files, okay, like Spring jar files, Hibernate jar files, some other jar files, everything what really required in a real-time application perspective, all the jar files will be added to our Spring Boot application. So as a developer point of view, we are not doing a lot of hard work with respect to identifying the dependency jar files as well as configuring the jar files. We are not at all doing anything. Simply Spring Boot is taking care. Not only that, we have one more important feature called as auto configuration. So there is a concept available, auto configuration. So what is the point of auto configuration and all? We will see that. So it's a auto configuration means beans configuration, right? I mean in Spring we understood beans configuration. So how we made the beans configuration? Like if it is a class, we will write @component classes or @bean methods. So in a configuration class, we will write @bean methods. Then Spring container will create the objects for those classes. Then Spring container will create objects for those classes which you defined as part of the bean methods. So this is all what manual configuration. Manual configuration, that too if you define bean method for a class, then only bean object will be created. So manually you have to configure inside the configuration class with bean method for a class, then only bean object will be created. But in Spring Boot, they came up with a concept called as enable auto configuration. Nothing but in some of these scenarios, they are doing auto configuration. Nothing but when you added some jar files, or for example, in this case, starter point of view, we are talking, right? Yeah, whenever we added any starter like web module starter, so what it will do is internally the starter concept, it will add all dependency jar files. That is the most important thing it will do. Jars, as well as when it comes to the web module point of view, what are the functionalities it is really required? What are the functionalities it is really required? So what are the functionalities or what are the beans internally required? Beans means objects from the predefined Java class, predefined Spring classes, or from this dependency jar files. Whatever the predefined classes are there from the Spring framework, and what are the objects are really required to achieve web functionalities. Those predefined classes of Spring framework, classes of Spring framework, okay, objects are automatically created. Objects are automatically created. So I'll cover this point after some point of time, then you will understand what is the meaning of auto configuration and all. Simply I'm telling you, automatically objects are created by the Spring container, okay, when you added the dependency jar files. So these are all automatically happening. That's why they are giving auto configuration. If it is a Spring framework, then you have to do this manual configuration here. So there is some configuration available at one point of time when you are doing the uh, Spring MVC setup, Spring Web Module setup. Okay, then you have to configure some at the rate enable MVC configuration, web configuration like that. Some bean methods and all you should have created at that time. But that is all they eliminated. Whatever the manual work we are doing here for the predefined classes which are really required to work with Spring Web Module or JDBC module, JPA module point of view like that. Whatever the really required predefined classes and its objects, those are all automatically created inside the Spring framework. So that means even this configuration is also avoided in the Spring Boot level. So that means so many things are automated with the help of starter concept. So starter is nothing but a group of dependencies. So that will provide always lot of jar files into our project level, and based on that projects what is being added to our project internally, Spring Boot application, the Spring Boot framework is going to auto configure many of the bean objects, many of the bean objects from those jar files. I mean the classes which are available inside those jar files, it will take those classes information and it will create objects automatically. Automatically in the sense these are all things in Spring Boot framework level they implemented. It's not like something automatically happening. That is how the Spring Boot framework is implemented on top of Spring framework. So they avoided XML configuration, they avoided jar files configuration. They avoided as well, okay, beans, predefined classes beans configuration also in Spring Boot. That we can understand practically after some point of time also. So that is what the starter we discussed yesterday. So we will see one more time what is auto configuration, practical point of view also we will see after some point of time. So these are all challenges, whatever we are having in the Spring framework level, headache we are having in the Spring framework, they are rectified in the Spring Boot in a different approaches in different concepts, starter concepts, auto configuration, all these things. So that's why if you observe here, yesterday when I'm talking about Spring Boot application annotation, wherever it is created in our main method class, okay, so generally where it is created, here it is created, right? So I said this annotation is combination of three annotations. One is component scan, what we seen in the Spring framework level. Second one is configuration, what we already knows in the Spring framework level. But the third thing, whatever I said, new one is introduced as part of Spring Boot is enable auto configuration. So that is what the configuration I'm talking here it is. So that is what the enable auto configuration I'm talking here it is. So this is what. So this auto configuration is happens based on the starters what we are added. So I know that you are not understanding what I'm trying to say with respect to auto configuration. At least you understood With respect to jar files, what's happening, because we saw practical yesterday, but auto configuration, you are not understanding what exactly auto configuration, but it's not required at the moment and you cannot understand at the moment. After some point of time, maybe especially when we are moving to the web module or MVC module, then we will try to compare. Then I will show you Spring versus Spring Boot point of view. What is the manual beans configuration you are doing? What is the auto or same bean objects? How those are all automatically created? Then we will compare. Then you will understand. Okay, this is what happening based on the auto configuration annotation and all. So then we will see after some point of time. So just so that is what the annotation I or enable auto configuration. The concept what I'm trying to say is this one. So that's why I said yesterday this we will understand this annotation after some point of time. So okay, fine. So that is all about we understood yesterday Spring Boot starters. When you created our Spring Boot core module, you no need to add any starters. By default, it will add a parent starter, and it is by default come up with the by default it is coming always with the Spring Boot core module functionalities or Spring core module functionalities. So this is the main starter. Okay, Spring Boot starter. It is always core starter. This is the base starter, nothing but core module starter. It is a testing one. JUnit's point of view, don't touch this. So this dependency is related to this test folder point of view. So no need to worry about it. Leave it as it is. Okay. So this is all we understood yesterday, and let's start now freshly taking the revision what we did as so far in the Spring framework level. So everything we will try to do same thing in today's session, like creating bean classes, component classes, like that. We will take one example as a revision in the Spring Boot perspective. So I already explained few things yesterday, but anyway, I'll take one more time also. Yesterday, in the same application, if you observe here, without writing configuration classes and all, we created the bean objects. So I explained the reason how it is happened also. So yesterday we created all these bean objects. See here, sorry, not server, run as Java application. So the moment you started your Spring Boot application from this location, product object is created, student object is created. How it is created product object? And yesterday we compared also Spring versus Spring Boot point of view. What? When you want to create an object in the Spring framework, what you have to do? You have to write component class and then configuration class and then component scan annotation, and inside component scan, you have to provide the base package. So these 3-4 steps you have to do manually in Spring framework. We did all this. But when it comes to Spring Boot, you return simply a component class and you started your Spring Boot application, automatically bean objects are created. But here only one small thing we have to follow. That rule is what I said yesterday. Wherever the main method class is located, that means this Spring Boot application annotation, this is the main method. Spring Boot application class. Simply we will call it as a Spring Boot application class. So simply what is the thumb rule you have to follow here? It is wherever Spring Boot application class I mean available inside a package. Okay, that package we have to make as a base package. As a base package. So as a base package means what you have to do in this case, you don't need to do anything. When you are writing the component classes inside your project, and whenever you are creating the projects, so whenever we are creating new packages, when you are creating the new packages, make sure the above package as a base, so that means assume now Spring Boot application point of view, this is located in this case. Now Yeah. So this class is located here. Whenever we, and this package name where you given when you created the package for the first time in the Spring starter level, initializer level, sorry, Spring initializer level, we will give this package name. Based on that, this class is getting created by the Spring container Spring Boot application level. Now in this case, what we have to do, going further, whenever you created any packages in your Spring Boot application, follow this as a base package. That's all you have to do. So that means now, for example, I'll create package names like this: dot controller, good. Similarly, dot service, good. Dot, okay, entity, good. So dot, okay, so that means this package name should be presented everywhere as a starting point of view. That is what we know as a base package. Dot something like config classes. I mean, whatever it is, config. So if you observe here, everywhere I am making this as a base package. This is the one small rule you have to follow. So why? The reason is Spring Boot by default will scan, by default consider whenever you started from here, what it will understand is where this class is located, that class, that package name it is taking as a base package, and based on that it will start internally doing the scanning. It is doing the scanning, so that means then it will scan this package, this package, this package, this package. But as a developer specifically, we no need to mention, do go to, okay, like at the rate component scan, go and scan in this base package. You no need to do all those things. Only thing is you just make sure this package name as a base package in your project whenever you created an applications. So that means going further, whenever you created a new package, so this name should be presented everywhere. If you are making this one small thing, okay, if you are taking care of this package naming conventions or creations with respect to package names, then you no need to write down component scan annotation at any cost. So that is the advantages it is. So that means you no need to write down configuration classes also. When you want to create an object by default for a by default for a class. So this is one rule you have to follow. Why? Because I said already, this class, this annotation is combination of configuration. So configuration as well as component scan. So based on that component scan annotation, it will take this name and it will start searching every other packages. If you are giving some by default some other wrong, okay, for example, assume I given Dilip it dot something, something I return, some day, whatever it is, some beans, whatever it is. Now, in this case, this package will not be scanned. The reason is the base package you are not followed. LMS is missing. So it will always start dot. I mean, after LMS, anything is there, those will be considering this one, this one, this one. But this package will not be scanned. And if you are having any classes in this case, those will not be scanned. So that means those objects are not created by the container. Now, you may ask one more question. No, no, no. I don't want to. For example, my some reason I want to make my package name like this only. I don't want to follow that. Then still my package has to be configured. Still my package. Still in this case, this package should be. This package should be scanned. This package should be scanned. What we have to do? What we have to do? So what you are trying to say here it is, okay, you understood this rule base package, and if you created any component classes inside this, you no need to write any extra logic. Automatically Spring Boot will take care. But if I return my package like this, then it will not be scanned by default. But still, I want to keep package name like this, and still this package has to be scanned for the component classes, so that component objects has to be created. Then what you have to do? So in such case, the solution is again at the rate component scan. So that means now what you will do is manually you will tell to the Spring Boot application, hey Spring Boot application. So I know that you are working for this package, but I have some extra packages which are not following this base package rule. So like that, you are providing by using component scan annotation in this class level, and you will tell like, okay, so you will tell like scan this one also. Now in this case, what container will do? I mean, in this case, how Spring Boot is working is it will scan this package as a base package and it will scan this one also. So that means now these classes will be scanned and you given extra information this time. Those are also scanned here. So that is how Spring Boot is making. So if you are following this thumb rule, like then no need to give this component scan and all. So that is what. In case still if a requirement is demanding, then you can Spring Boot is saying, okay man, don't worry, give the component scan annotation and give your base package, which is not under the scope of this base package. So when I'm starting my application, I'll cover based on this annotation, whatever the base package, I'll cover all those, as well as I'll cover what you given based on that also. I'll cover all the other packages also, like that it is saying. So that is the reason yesterday when you are created product class in some other package, it's not happened. Okay, let's do one thing. What I will do, I'll remove order again. I'll add it clearly. So I'll show you that point whether it is see now com.dilip.it.lms inside that student is there and I created component so that it will be scanned automatically. Now even product will also scan this time because com.dilip.it LMS. So this is the base package. If you observe here, this is the base package. Yes, it contains. So if you observe the hierarchy also, see after that only something is there. Then product also scanned. So that's why you are able to see student is created, product is created. Right? Cool. That's fine. My next point is I'm creating one more Java class. Order class. And if you see here, I'm giving package com.xyz, com.xyz, something like that. Finish it. Now it's 100% not following the base package rule because you given base package is what com.dilip.it.lms. How you are saying because in that package only this class is located. But you given com.xyz. But still this object has to be created. By default, not created. That we saw yesterday also. But anyway, let me write down one more time. See, I'm going a bit fast. I know that. The reason is we are already done all these things. In spring, for almost 20 classes we did in this spring. So we are just doing the revision in Spring Boot point of view. Order is created. So now let's see this constructor executed means this object is created. So let's go to the main method class, run as Java application. See, still product student only created. Why not order? It's out of the base package. This rule. Now what I said, even if you want to keep this as it is, okay, your package, some reason you are maintaining different package, but 99% we will follow when you created Spring Boot application, we will follow this only guys. Okay, in real-time application. It's not like whatever comes in my mind, I will create that as a package. No, it's not like that. To utilize something free of cost, with less amount of hard work, with less amount of configuration, when framework is saying something, follow it so that you can enjoy the benefits of the framework. It's not like you are saying like, no, 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 I will not follow your rules. If I will follow whatever I want, then you have to do manual configuration more and more. So, but anyway, just knowledge point of view, you have to understand. Now see here itself, I'm giving component scan. Different ways you can give it. Okay, so component scan and I'm telling like com.xyz. Now scan it. What happened? Okay, if you see here, in this case, what it is doing, it is overriding this component scan and it is created only order but not other objects. No. like all these things. Now what I will do in this case is, instead of I am providing here, okay, so if you observe here, scan base packages. So they given one more option here it is. So if I given base package name here, so in a array format I have to give. So they give an attribute here itself in the same annotation itself. Now I'll give XYZ here. Okay. So let's scan it again. Now what happened? Again order is created. So these are all challenges. Now if I given com, again what will happen? See here now. Student is created, order is created, product is created. So that means you specially mentioned in this case, okay, com.yz, com.dilip both has to be covered in such a way you given this one. Okay, or else you can give com.xyz, comma, com.dilip. But why we have to do all this nonsense? If you are following that single rule, then things will automatically Spring is taking care. But sometimes we have to do, very rare case. That's why I'm just interview perspective also. They will ask if I want to give some additional packages, then what I have to do? Then you have to tell like you have to configure this attribute. Now see here, run as Java application. So what happens? Still order is created, right? So it is I mean, this is what taking spelling mistake. Sorry, I given spelling mistake, base package name. So see here, that's what I'm confusing. Now see here, what happened? All are created. So what you did, you are saying by default, don't scan only your package. Along with that, okay, scan this also like that. You given extra information. So then it is configuring those also. So this is how you can configure directly here itself when you have extra. So instead of that, you are following a rule like making this as a base package in entire project level, then you don't need to give this nonsense here. So, but okay. So this is how you have to provide the okay other package names also apart from the base package where main method class is located. So you have to configure like this. Then all these classes will be scanned. Okay. So is it clear now until this? It's a very simple. Whatever we did in the spring, same thing we are doing right now also. So if you don't want to do all these things, then remove all these things, keep it up as it is, and make sure this package is also created in the dilipit.lms. After that, anything is fine. Dot bean, something like that. Change, move to this there, move order.java there. Yes. Now, see what we did. We made everything under the base package point of view so that now the order class will also be created. So now order is also created. So you guys are clear, guys, until this? Say yes or no. Otherwise, you are feeling new or something. Don't say like we are not, I'm not understanding. Okay. The reason is we completed 20 classes. We are just doing the revision. In a different point of view, we are doing. That's all. But, and I mean, inside masala is same. The material is same. Okay. So good. Now let's move to the next point. So what we did in the Spring framework. So now what we understood in this case is how to create bean objects. Okay. That we understood by using component. This is what we completed so far. Now, as in a case, for example, if you want to create more than one bean for a class, then what we did in Spring Framework in annotation perspective itself, one maybe via component you can give only one. Okay, via component you can create only one. After that, what you did, you used @bean method. bean method, right? More than one bean for class, what you have to do? You have to write bean component. But to write bean method, you need what again? You need what again? Configuration class. You need what again? Configuration class. Right? Yes. Now see here what I'm doing. Assume in this case, for example, I'll create object for student. Total two bean objects I will create. I want more than one. So that means simply two beans for the student point of view. Okay. Now, if you go to the student, via student component point of view, one bean object is already getting created. Now I want one more bean object for the student class. So what you have to do? So you have to write a configuration class, then only you can write down the bean method. Now I said already this annotation is covering an annotation internally along with component scan configuration also, right? So however it is making component scan as of now, it's covering this annotation is combination of configuration also. So that means this main method class itself a configuration class. So see here in the same class, I'm writing a bean method. Okay, this is one approach guys, but just I'm telling you. So I written a bean method public for which class? Student class and student to something like that. I'm giving the name and return new student. Spelling mistake problems. Okay, it's all spelling mistake. Let me correct it. Okay, cool. Now, yeah, now it's gone. Spelling mistake corrected, right? Okay, if you see here now, where I added bean method, if you observe here in the main method class itself, in the main Spring Boot. Why? So is it going to work means? So see here, let me write one more line here. Creating student to two via bean method. So actually bean methods where you will write configuration classes inside the configuration classes. But I said at the rate Spring Boot application is already internally covering configuration functionality also. So that's why by okay, that means indirectly this class is also a configuration class. Yes, it's a configuration class. So that's why I'm writing bean method. So now execute again. What happened? Creating student to via bean method. Who called this method? You are not, we are not called anywhere else. Internally, it considering as a bean method, it is executed. Now see if I am removing the bean, then what will happen? This is a normal method. You even we saw this behavior in our configuration classes in Spring also. If you remove bean, then that is not a bean method. It will not be executed. See, it's not executed. This line is printed. Not printed means not executed. If you made bean, yes, again bean object will be created. Now in this case, bean ID will become student2 because method name becomes C created bean objects. Total how many bean objects created? Student, student. Total student is created, student is created. That means two student objects are created. So in this case, what you have to understand guys, at the rate bean methods you can write directly inside the Spring Boot application classes itself. If you feel like no, I don't want to touch this one, can we write our own configuration classes or not? Can we write extra configuration classes or not? Can we create own configuration classes or not? Instead of touching that main method class, can we create own configuration classes? Yes, obviously. In Spring also we understood, right? We can create any number of configuration classes. Now what I'm doing, new class, base package is always mandatory. Here I'm writing like something configuration package name. And I'm writing like Spring Beans configuration, something like that. Now this class is a configuration class. Guys, please practice all this, whatever we did so far in the Spring framework level, including XML configuration in the Spring Boot. I'm telling you, please practice today onwards. Okay, so that's why I'm moving all bit speed. Now it's a configuration class. Let's write at the rate bean method here also. I'm creating bean and I'll create for the product public, and the bean object should be created product, and then product one, something like that, and then return new product, new return product. So now see what will happen. Product object, one more product object will be created or not. One is by default creating because of component. You return one more via bean, right? So is it getting created or not? See here. And after writing the configuration class, I did not provided information to this anywhere else. So somewhere else other configuration class is available. No need to do. It will take care of that component scan point of it will scan configuration classes also. What is this? Product is created, product is created. So what you observed, how many times? Two times it is created. That means this method also executed. If you want, I can write one more line. This is sort of product is created via bean method. So that means you can write your own configuration classes also. Just follow that base package name, and inside that package you can create any number of configuration classes. So see here, product is created. So from this, what you understood, guys, and when you are making the main method class package name as a base package, then you can play with your Spring Boot. You don't need to write extra configurations and all. Simply see here, I created a configuration class. I created a configuration class. That's all. It is automatically scanned. Now I can create bean objects for other classes also in this case. So even I can move from here to here also. So if you don't want to touch, or you can write here also. This is also working as a configuration class. So if I'm moving that one to here, yes. People who practice Spring framework, they will feel happy today. The reason is they will understand, oh, this much is a Spring Boot is when comparing with Spring. So see here, product is created, two times product object is created. Everything we maintained in the configuration class. Okay, so this is all we did. Now, this is we completed. Now access the bean objects from the container. Access bean objects from container. Now, as of now, what? Without you are creating the container and everything, who creating the container? Spring Boot application itself internally it is creating the container, and it is scanning all the component classes. It is maintaining internally. If it is a Spring application, we created the container manually. I mean, like we written new annotation config application context something like that. But today, who is doing all those things? Spring Boot application internally is doing. So that means in this case, this class is doing all the miracle internally, and especially this method is doing so many things internally. If you are interested, right click on the run method, open an implementation, open declaration, something like that. Or else click on control button and keep your cursor, then it will show open implementation, then click on that, then you can see run method logic here, and click in again here, then click on again here, then click on again here. So here see there are so much logic they written in the predefined point of, they written so many things here. So these are all Spring application class level. Spring Boot team implemented all this logic. So this 2,000 lines of logic is doing all the automation, whatever we discussed so far. So if you observe here internally, they are using Completely Spring framework only to build all this Spring Boot, entire Spring framework. Okay, so if you are interested, just explore it when you want to get more knowledge. So this run method is doing a lot of things internally. That's why the same dot class instance we are passing to this run method. Then this run method will open this class. I mean, it will get the metadata of this class, like what is this package name of this class, this one, and that then that is considering as a base package. All that logic is implemented by using run method internally. So you don't need to do anything else here. It is okay, fine. Now see here. So that means internal it is creating container also. Once container is getting instantiated, then container will scan all the component classes. That is what we understood in the Spring. Yes, sir, that's true. So once container is, so in this case, container is also created by the Spring Boot internal code only. So what I will do, yeah. So I assume this is a container point of view. Now, how many objects are getting created means internally container is created by the Spring Boot logic, as well as container is scanning all the classes, and container is creating total one product object, total two product objects, one order object, total two student objects, right? Yes. I will not discuss again all the instance variables, all this. Product 1, product 2, student 1, student 2, order point of view. So we given what is the bean ID for the student with respect to component? Same rule. So assume this is a student for the class called as student class, and this is one more student object I created via bean method. Go to the bean method, student 2. So when we are not given anything, then method name will take. That rule we understood. So that's why student 2. Now similarly, product 1 I given in the bean method level. Cool. And in the class level, component level, I did not given anything means class name will take, and in the camel case point of view. So that means class name will become bean ID, but it will take camel case. Similarly, order point of view also we are not given anything, so that's why it will take class name. Now these are all bean IDs. Whatever I discuss, whatever I'm writing here, it is bean IDs. Now generally what you will do in our Spring Framework level, container object once you created, right? That reference point of view, container dot get bean of bean ID. Get bean of bean ID. So if you given something like student, then what will happen? Immediately container will return this bean object in the form of by wrapping inside the object. And then you are doing typecasting so that you are extracting finally student object into student reference level. So this is all we are doing. Now same thing what you have to do, see here. So in this case, I said run method is doing all the internal this container creation, container, okay, container internal scanning, all this is initiated from this run method. Now if you see the return type of run method, what is this guys? Configurable application context. So that means, so the run method itself returning the container instance now. In earlier, if it is a Spring, what we did, we created on our own, like application context. So what we did like application context. Okay, something like container equal to new annotation config application context, and then we provided all configuration classes information here, right? But today, what? Spring Boot run method itself giving a container. So whatever internally container is created and all that container already giving by here. So that means what I am doing here, it is you don't need to do all these things because already Spring run method is doing Spring Boot run method. So what you have to do, what is the return type of run method? If you observe here, configurable application context. Configurable application context. So take that configurable application context. If you see here, Spring Framework dot context. Interface to be implemented by most of not. So simply provides facilities as a application context point of view. So this is what we created earlier. So this is just like that. Now I'm giving container reference variable name here equal to. So that's all you have to do. So that means the run method itself providing you the container instance. It's returning. So it is saying like if you want just refer a variable, then it will give it. Now container object you got container dot get to bean is common again. Get bean of student. So return type is object. So the story you know again, these are all common. Then typecast it student s equal to, and you are typecasting to student from obj. Then you can sys out of, I'm just printing reference because we don't have any setter getter methods. We are not defined any variables, but when you are practicing, do that. So run as Java application. See what it is printed instead of null, something is printed. So that means bean object is, you got bean object here from the container. So who is providing the container? Run method is already returning. By default, generally when you created class, I mean Spring Boot project, you will have like this. But if you want container, what you can just add this one. You can just refer this with this context point of view. Then it will happen. If you open this class, sorry, interface, if you see here, it is extending application context. So it's a parent interface, it's a child interface. Okay, so you can use this one. Child can access parent properties also along with child properties. So that's why maintain this application context in this case. Now let's get the second bean object of student 2. I'll write directly sys out of container dot get bean of student 2. I think that is what I given. Yeah, student 2. If you given wrong, you will get an exception, right? That's what. And then it will return object type. So you have to typecast it to student. So now I'm printing the reference. So that means observe here different hash code, different hash code. So that means student 1 is a different bean object, student 2 is a different bean object. If I given wrong bean ID, what is the exception, guys? It will check student 3 bean ID available or not. It's not there. Then what is the exception we are getting? Anyone else? No such bean definition exception. Yes, correct. Right. So see, it is coming or not. What? Same thing, right? No such bean definition exception. Okay. So are you clear now what's happening internally? How much logic is reduced when comparing with Spring and Spring Boot? That is one point you have to realize today. And one more point is when you know the Spring, so you can work with Spring Boot or not. Yes, you can work easily. Okay, so what we discussed, access bean objects from the container. So that's what simply only thing is that's what you just need to do this thing. Just container is already giving by the run method. Just in this interface reference level, just take it up. Okay, so this is also we are done. Now let me create one more application, Spring application, Spring Boot only, to discuss other examples. New Spring startup project, Spring Boot. What is pending? We know now how to create configuration classes, bean methods. We covered beans, component classes, configuration classes also. Now it's all time to go with the dependency injection, like what we did in the field injection point of view in Spring. We will try to take one or two examples, that one also. So let's do one thing. Whatever I covered so far in Spring, I'll go a little bit speed. But what we are not covered, then again, it's a regular class. I mean, we'll go in a normal mode. So dependency injection, something, just name I given like that. So here you can give group ID, whatever. So this is what most important. I said this package will become your base package always. So com dot swiggy dot something like that I given. Okay. Swiggy dot delivery, whatever it is, food delivery, whatever it is. Okay, I want Maven, Java 17 or 21, whatever you want. Okay, this will become project name only. You don't need this information. If you want, you can modify. So this is the base package it will become. Next. And I don't want any modules also because we are learning only core module right now. So that's why not required. Finish it. Okay. So now second Spring Boot application. I mean, we created Spring Boot application. Now we know all this. See now the base package became com.swiggy.food, what we given in the initializer level. And if you go here, Spring Boot failed DI application based on the project name, this class name is also generated. Now it's all same. Okay, now let's start writing the logics. So what in this case I'll do dependency injection, field injection. So in the field injection, I'm not saying what is field injection and all, you know all the details. So what I will do, I'll take only classes. Mm, okay, so something one class is order class I will take, and inside order something should be injected, right? Food items, cart items. Okay, cart. You will add when you are making ordering the food, you will add food items to the cart, right? So then finally you are clicking on proceed payment and all, then cart will be added to order, something like that. So I'll make like cart as a dependency. Cart is injected here. This is what I have to achieve now. So if it is a field injection, simply we will give component, component, auto wait here. That's all it will be done. So what is our approach in Spring Boot? Simply we'll make component and this one also as a component, so that bean object, and then you will give auto wait here. Auto wait here, right? So then dependence injection will happen. This bean object is available, blindly it will inject only one bean object, it will inject. If you have more than one, then property class name is, I mean property name is matching, not matching, those scenarios also I'll cover right now in a quick mode. First let's create the cart class, new class. So I'm writing separately food dot delivery, something like that, whatever it is. So I'm writing like cart items. So I'm making this class as a component class. Sorry, component. Spring framework. Now see here, I'll take one or two variables also in this case. Private integer total items, number of items, nothing but how many items you added. Private list of string food item names or whatever it is. Simple. Right. Gen setter getters. And then write one constructor also. So it's just for understanding purpose. And public. You know, right? When you created component bean objects, default constructor should be presented. If you don't have a default constructor, then component will fail. So please practice all those rules, guys. Okay, it's not like whatever I covered here. It's not like that. You created component bean objects right here in this case. Yeah, mark class as component. So in case the note is what? Yeah. So the question. So please, whatever, just go back to the Spring day one and whatever you completed so far, whatever the scenarios we completed. For example, no default constructor, and then you given component. What will happen? You know, bean will create always. No, right? So dependency injection will fail because it will create always object via default constructor, but you are not defined. So then what will happen? Bean object will create fail. So like we discuss a lot of scenarios. My point here it is, I'm not going to take class tomorrow. So I mean I don't have any work, but my intention is just revise all the things whatever we did so far in the Spring framework. Even I'll give you in the last 2 minutes, 5 minutes hint with respect to XML also. So that means today and tomorrow, just make sure revision of all these things in the Spring Boot point of view. Just that's all you need to do. I'll stop tomorrow class intentionally. For example, even if right now also I can prove that if I am giving a parameterized constructor like source generate constructor from using fields. So that means in this case there is no default constructor. Now it's a component class. I said when you pass through the base package rule, automatically component object will be created. Now see here, run as Java application. What happened? See, Spring Boot is throwing some error. Error starting application. Application failed to start. The reason is parameter 0 constructor cart items required but not found. So that is what we got in Spring also. Spring also we know that rule. When you created a component class, you have to make sure default constructor is presented. If you are not making that, then bean object will be not created. So same rule here also. See here. Now if I created a default constructor along with parameterized constructor, then there is no issue. Now see, now again I am executing it. So these are all details we discussed. So that's why go through all this information. See, even I think if I return single line here, then you will understand. Cart items created. So now again, same concept component started successfully means bean object also created. See, cart items is created. So these are all hidden use cases what we discussed in the Spring. Just practice everything in the Spring Boot again. Okay, fine. So this is okay. Now let's go with the order details also. New class order details class, and I'll make at the rate component. You can write bean method also. It's up to your choice. And then I'm saying like private double order amount, and then private string user email who ordered the food, private cart items cart items. So here I'll make the dependency injection, field injection. So generate, generates. Okay. So what we will do here, generally field injection point of view, I will provide auto void. That's all. Then in this order details level, this bean object will be injected. If you are not given auto void, not injected. Simply it will become null only. But object will be created. Whether it is true or not, see here. What I will do, I am getting that container also, configurable application context container. So you can give application context also. If you want to go with old one, application context also you can use. Container dot get bean of what? The bean ID is order details. So if you are not given anything, then that will become bean ID class name. So camel case. And then order details. You need to typecast it. Order 1 equal to typecast it. Okay, simple. We are not done anything new today. If you observe here, everything is successfully executed. Order cart items is created, right? Even I will write one constructor here also. Order is created. And you are not given auto void as of now. So what I will do, sys out of order one dot get cart items. Get cart items. So execute. The bean object is injected or not. See, order is created, cart is created by the container internally, but only thing is not injected. Why? You are not given auto void annotation. You are not given any auto void annotation. So that's why it's not injected. Now if I give an auto void field injection point of view, so simply I said now do the bean object which is available. Run as Java application. See what happened? It is injected. That's why what happened in this case means same thing. Part items object and then ordered object. In earlier no auto void, nothing is injected. Now you give an auto void, that's why it is referring here. Now order is created. Now next what I will do is I will create one more bean object for the cart items. So one more point of view, I can create directly here. I can write one bean method inside this main method itself, but you don't write here. Okay, one or two times write here. No, it's not a big deal, but practice writing a separate configuration classes also. That is a good practice. So you can write one more configuration class and you can write over it. So right now I'm writing here only. So I'm creating one more bean object for the class called as public cart items. Okay, cart items 2 bean ID. See, today I'm not writing bean IDs and everything I'm using automatically. So that level you have to come. That I will do cart items equal to new cart items dot set number of items 2 and items dot set list of. I'll do one thing. No, I'm adding some content also. That's all. I'm not doing anything. Food items, new array list. Food items dot in the array list. I'm making something you ordered sweets. Total 2, right? Number of items. So that's why I'll add one more also. Something, whatever it is, biryani. So I'll add these food items here. Setter items. This is purely core Java, guys. There is nothing to do in this case. Now what I'm doing, this items object I'm returning here. So nothing but this time what happened, this bean object. Yeah. So in this case, what you did, in this case, the bean object is configured with some data. This is also we covered in Spring. When you want to create a bean object with some data is configured, some data has to be configured, then only option is bean method. So, but we created second bean object with data, so no problem. So now what will happen? Dependency injection point of view, what are the rules you remembered? So now dependency injection will fail or success. So what expected one? So here the scenario is this time two cart items available, one order object is available. So I assume this is cart 1 and this is cart 2. And this is order. Now which one will be injected? Any dependency injection you will get, guys? Even I'll give you the names also. This is cart items, right? Yeah. Assume cart 1 point of view. This is the name. Second one, what you given? I think cart items 2. Yeah, this one. And in the property of order class, you given cart items. Now dependency injection will be fail or success. What is your answer? It's Spring only I'm asking, not Spring Boot. So sorry, this property here. Now order level dependency injection will happen or not? Yes, success. Because the reason is when it is having, first of all, when it is having only one, it will inject irrespective of name, bean ID, whatever, it doesn't matter. Simply class matching, then it will inject. Whenever it is having two, then it will apply by name functionality. So based on the by name, what it is happening, it will eliminate, it is checking, okay, two are there, it is checking, is it matching, okay, it's not matching, so this is matching, so that's why this will be injected. So as part of cart items we are having all number of items 0 and as well as food items null, like that, empty. But here food items 2 and like food items sweet and biryani we added, right? So that information is added here. So let's see whether it is true or not. First of all, dependency injection is happening or not. Let's see here. Cart item is created, order is created, cart item is created, total two bean objects. Okay, I think it's via bean method. This is the constructor, right? So two times cart items are created and finally injected into order level. But which bean object is injected? Let's verify here. Here you got order 1, right? So from this, what I will do, sys out of order one dot get cart items, and from the cart items, number of items, and similarly, I'll see what is the cart items level, what is the food also available, item names. So execute run as, if you see here 0 and null as expected. Now in this case, dependency injection I want to achieve, as well as I want to inject second cart to items bean object. Cart to bean items object I want. What we have to do, tell me now. So that means I don't want this bean object. I don't want to change any logic. I mean, I don't want to change the bean IDs and all in whether in the order level, wherever it is, but I want to inject this one this time. So I want to inject this one. What you have to do? Yes, qualifier. Any other solutions apart from qualifier? Yes, qualifier only, right? So what? Yes, in the qualifier level, give the bean ID. So what you want, specific one. By default, what is happening based on this name? That this one is injecting. But I want to tell to container, don't inject this one by default based on the name. I want this one. So what you have to do is give the qualifier. Qualifier annotation. And then in the qualifier level, you will give the bean ID like, hey, I want only cart items too. So what is the bean ID? Yes, this is the bean ID, right? Cart items too. Sorry, main method class. Go here and execute it. Now you will see the food item names, because this time cart items 2 is injected. So number of items 2, sweets and biryani. This object is injected. Now again, if I don't want to give qualifier and my property names are also, so what I will do, I will do some small tweak in the code. Go to the cart items. Here I given bean ID as cart items 1. Cart items 1. So that means now what happened? Total 2 cart item bean objects are created, but bean ID is this one this time. Now tell me, in this case, dependency injection is going to happen. I mean, I don't have auto void also. So by default, without auto void, I remove auto void also. So tell me which one will be injected now, cart items 1 or cart items 2? Which one will be injected now? What is this, man? Nobody is answering. Answer is in front of your eyes only. That's what problem. If you are not practicing, you will not get this subject. Any others? No dependency injection or cart items 1 or cart items 2. What is this, man? These are all we discussed hours and hours in Spring Framework and you are not answering now. See what, as per Venkatesh, it is correct. What property, see, when you are having only one, blindly injected. Only when you have only one. So then there is no point of dependency injection failure. When you have only one dependency be not. But dependency injection will become success. But when you have two, then ambiguity. To avoid that ambiguity, what container is doing? Container is checking this property name is matching with this bean IDs or not, at least. So this time this is not matching, this is not matching. So that means both are not matching. Then dependency injection is happens? No. So that means dependency injection will fail. So that means order object is going to be created means no. That is the purpose only we have qualifier, right? If it is how cart items 1 is injected in this case. What is the property name? Cart items. Bean ID is cart items 1, cart items 2. How it dependence injection will happen? I removed qualifier also. So that's what I said. Assume I removed qualifier also. So what happened? See here. Consider marking one of the bean as primary. It is giving solution also to you. Spring Boot. See, in Spring Boot, they given one step ahead and they are giving very clear explanation also. They are saying like failed to start Spring Boot application. The reason is cart items 1, cart items 2 available for the, see how much clear explanation they given in the exception also in the Spring Boot framework level. Very clearly they are telling like in the order details required a single bean but found to cart items 1 and cart items 2. So that's why it's not even matching with the property called as cart items. So that's why dependency injection is failed. So then what they are saying is they are telling a suggestion they are giving. Please make sure one of the bean as a primary or at least use the qualifier or use the qualifier to identify which bean object specifically I have to inject. Consumed means which has to be injected. See how clearly they are giving errors also. So that is what the advantage of Spring Boot. Now what you understood from this, if you given qualifier, then only now dependency injection will become success. Because you are telling like, okay, don't confuse, inject cart items too. Now dependency injection will success. See now dependency injection is success. Now my point is, if I remove again dependency injection is fine. The next question is, I think you are already guessed it. When you don't want to give qualifier and even though you are having more than one bean object of dependency, still dependency injection should get success. We should not see any exception. So still dependency injection should happen. Then what you have to do guys? The solution is primary. So they are saying like make one of the bean object as a primary. Then what you have to do? Go one of the bean object. Which one have to make a primary? It's up to depends on your requirement. For example, I told you make cart items one as a primary. Then what you will do in that level you will add an annotation called as primary. So that means whenever cart items one object is created, Spring framework will add a label like primary. Now what will happen in this case? Dependency injection success or fail means success. Even the property names are matching, not matching, but dependency injection will get success. The reason is this time, cart items point of view, two bean objects available. Okay, but which one has to inject means you given primary. If you given at the rate qualifier items 2, then it might have injected. But we are not given qualifier this time. So that's why it will be injected. But where you have to give the primary, wherever you define the cart items bean object. So where you define, go to the class. Here you define, right? So here you can define at the rate primary. Same Spring only. I mean, not same Spring. Spring only we are discussing. None. I should not use that word also. Same Spring. Spring only, not Spring. Same Spring. See Spring only. See man, the project creation perspective you created via Spring Boot, but the logic what you are writing is Spring only. That is what you have to understand. That's why I said Spring Boot is a wrapper framework on Spring. Wrapper means it's just wrapper with some small extra ingredients. But internally the original content is always Spring only. Okay, now in this case dependency injection will happen means happens. It will not fail this time. But what will inject? Cart items 1 will inject. So that's why you are seeing 0 and null. If you given again qualifier here, cart items 2, then priority given to the qualifier 2 point of view. Then container will see only qualifier point of view, cart items 2 being an object will be injected here. So this time cart items 2 is injected. If you given wrong bean ID in the qualifier, anyone tried guys? I don't know. No one will try. If you given qualifier level wrong bean id, so that means actually cart items 3 bean object is not there in the container. So I said qualifier will, based on the qualifier, it will verify that bean object existed or not, then it will inject if it is available. If not available, anyone tried? No one will try. So obviously it will look for that bean object, it's not there, then it will say like cart items 3 is not found. I found only, I mean, it is saying like cart items 3, but I don't see anywhere else cart items 3. So that's why dependency injection is failed. So it is saying like I don't see anything like cart items 3. I saw something else, but cart items 3 is not there. So that's why dependency injection is failed. If you given wrong one. Okay. So this is all about what we completed so far in the Spring framework with annotations. So please practice same thing in the where Spring Boot level and XML point of view. For example, if anyone is want to make very strong knowledge, like whatever we discussed in the XML in the Spring framework level, same thing you want to practice in Spring Boot also. Let me show you one small example here. And then based on that, you can do that XML configuration practice also in the Spring Boot. I said already in real-time applications nowadays, everybody is using annotations only. I'm stick to that point. But the thing is, if you want to become very strong and masters, do these things on your own time, on your practice. So now if it is XML point of view, what you have to do? Same story where what you have to do, first of all, XML file you have to create, right? XML config. I'll not discuss all, just one small path I will show you, and then that's all. From there you have to take it up. So XML configuration, generally what we will do, we will create an XML file to define the beans, right? So we have to create an XML file. So yes, project is ready. You need XML file, and I said one more point also. Other than Java files, tomorrow when you are creating any other extra files, configuration files, XML files, Excel files, SQL files, YAML files, properties files, you have to use a property called as, sorry, folder called as resources. This is what I mentioned, right? So now what you have to do, don't create this XML file wherever you want, like in the Spring point of view at that time you create, right? This time in the Spring Boot point of view, go to the resources folder, right click on the resources and click here the create file here this time here in the resources itself. You can give any name. It's not a big deal. See, now I'm created file inside where in the resources folder. In the resources folder. So Spring Beans XML file I created in the resources folder. I have beans tag here. Okay, I don't have from the internet. I'll download that. That's all. The remaining is common. Spring XML configuration. Actually, no need. I mean, but just if you are interested, just go through it. So this is what I said, right? Just copy paste here. Now create a bean object here. I am writing a class called as delivery boy, delivery something like that. Com dot Swiggy. Okay, XML is choice, but whatever we did in the annotations so far last 10 days or whatever it is, just practice in the Spring Boot. Tomorrow I'm not taking this session, just it's only for you only. But next day I'll take dependency injection with setter and constructor via annotations. So now a regular normal mode will happen. So if you created a class like this, then if you want to create this as a XML point of view, come back here, give the bean ID. So give some bean ID delivery 1 and then class equal to the class name details, like give the package name dot class name delivery details, right? So by default bean object will be created in this case. If you want, I can write constructor. I'm not writing all the properties, just I'm showing a hint. Created. Okay, so see here, you created XML, you configured bean. Now what you have to do? You have to create the configuration, right? So that's what I said. If this is all built based on the annotation point of view, component scan point of view, Spring Boot is completely. But what I can suggest you is in the main method itself, somewhere else create a class, main method class, one more main method class in this case itself. What I will do, yeah. So in the delivery itself, or else I will create here a main method class, Spring XML with the boot something, whatever it is. It's not. So see here what earlier what you used to do, application context equal to, I mean container equal to container equal to new file system you used to give, right? Now you don't need to give file system also. If you given file system, you have to give complete path. But today the resources folder is configured by the Spring Boot project under the class path level. So in this case, if you are using class path XML application configuration context, see here what I'm saying in class path XML application context. So if you given this one, the advantage of this one is, okay, if you given this one, the advantage of this one is you no need to give the entire file path. Give only file name. For example, if you see here, what I am selecting this time is not entire path, only file name. So why today the resources folder is configured like that? It's under the class path. Now see here, if you created via class path, you can give file system XML application context also, but there you have to give entire file path, D drive, so on and so folder. But here, if you are keeping inside the resources folder, then if you are creating like this, now let's see here what's happening. What is this? Delivery details is created. So that means you are doing XML configuration also here. But matching XML as well as annotation beans, everything under one container in this Spring Boot point of view, it's a very tedious project. You don't do that much level. That's what I'm telling you. If you are interested at an XML point of view, create that XML inside the resources folder and just create a main method class on your own and create container on your own. And then do rest of the beans configuration, ref attribute, constructor or property, all these things. If you are in, but there is no choice for annotations configuration. You have to practice everything via annotation. Is it okay? So you guys understood now what's happened today? We did everything what we did from last 10 days, 20 days, 20 classes in one day today. The reason is same thing in this Spring Boot, copy paste. Small rules you have to follow, like component, just base package name, that's all. If you are following that rules, all is common. So tomorrow we don't have a class. I'm not stopping intentionally. Um, yeah, so let's take on next day. So again on 22nd, like Friday, we will take a new class. So just practice today and tomorrow. Only for practice purpose only I'm giving this time. Otherwise, I don't have any work tomorrow. Okay. So no problem. Just practice. Your practice is important more than my teaching. We'll connect on day after tomorrow. Please practice all annotation examples. Whatever so far we did. So I'll show you also if you want. Inversion of control. Okay, this is all XML. XML, I'm saying like if, but priority is less for XML. Don't do XML first. First do only annotation point of view. Yeah, these are all we did via XML point of view. Bean wiring, these are all you, if you are interested, you can do in the XML point of view also. But apart from that, we discuss a lot of use cases in annotation. Yes, from here onwards. So write your own configuration classes in the Spring Boot project, write your own bean methods, give bean method IDs, bean name, bean IDs, and whatever you did, more than one configuration classes, whatever the scenarios we discussed, if bean method executed or not, if you want to know all these details, creating a bean with bean method is possible or not. So these are all details we discussed. Component point of view, create some beans, bean methods. Components can also, we take an example today, give some different bean component base packages and do that what I explained today. So these are all use cases you have to do now. I want to provide my own bean ID for a component class. Yes, we did that. Simply give here, same thing practice in the Spring Boot and try to get it. Similarly, how many bean objects can we create for a class? Any number of objects. If I want to create more than one, what you have to do? Component along with that bean you have to take. So these are all scenarios we discussed. Question, if difference between all these, dependency injection point of view we discussed and we just revised today also. Okay, so just practice all these scenarios and tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll start with the setter injection and constructor injection also. So the normal classes will happen from day after tomorrow. Normal means the new concepts in the Spring Boot point of view. What we are not discussed as part of Spring till today. Okay, so that's all. Yeah, thanks to everyone, guys. Let's connect on tomorrow, day after tomorrow.